Welcome back to the History Behind. I'm Jess, and this is a brand new episode of World Tour Edition. On today's episode, we are going to be traveling to cloudy southern England, more precisely to Salisbury Plains. So in case you don't know what's in Salisbury Plains, you're about to find out, and it's amazing. Okay, so we are going to be talking about one of the most enigmatic monuments ever discovered, because no one is like 100% sure of what it was built for. Amazing. I'm excited. So it is comprised of roughly 100 massive upright stones placed in a circular layout, and it's a prehistorical monument that it is estimated to have taken about 1,500 years to erect, so that's a long time. In case you haven't guessed by now, we are going to be talking about Stonehenge. It is actually questioned how a civilization without modern technology or even the wheel produced such a mighty monument. So I guess we're going to try and find it out today. Archaeologists believe that the prehistoric ruin was built in several stages, more precisely 3 stages, which we are going to talk about in a second. And they also believe that the earliest constructed part was roughly 5,000 years ago, maybe more. On the first stage of construction, Neolithic Britons used primitive tools, possibly made from deer antlers, and they dig a massive circular ditch and bank, or henge, on Salisbury Plain. Deep pits dating back to that era are located within the circle, are known as Aubrey holes, after John Aubrey, a 17th century antiquarian who discovered them. Those pits may have once held a ring of timber posts, according to some scholars, even though it's not 100% certain. So, one more mystery of Stonehenge. The second phase of construction is believed to have started several hundred years later. Stonehenge, in that time, the builders erected an estimated 80 non-indigenous bluestones, 43 of which are still there today, and they're in standing positions and are placed in either an horseshoe formation or a circular formation. So no one is really sure what it's supposed to mean, but looking at the picture, because let's face it, I've never been there.
Yes.
But for me, it looks kind of more like an horseshoe, maybe? I don't know. The third stage of construction took place about 2,000 years before Christ, and in that time, Sarsen sandstone slabs were arranged into an outer crescent ring, and some were assembled into the iconic 3-piece structures called Trinity that stand tall in the center of Stonehenge. So if you've never seen them, they're like 3 fucking big rocks that stand like this. I only have 2 hands, so... 50 sarsen stones are now visible on the site, but possibly there were many more. Radiocarbon dating suggested that the work continued at Stonehenge until roughly 600 before Christ, with the bluestones in particular being repositioned a lot of times, so they kept on moving them. It's like, why? They were big. Sorry. Okay, fun fact. In 1620, Georges Villiers, the first Duke of Buckingham, dug a large hole in the ground on the center of Stonehenge looking for buried treasure, so I guess he didn't really find anything, but he tried. Stonehenge sarsens, of which the largest weighed about 40 tons and rises 24 feet in the air, were likely sourced from quarries 25 miles north of Salisbury Plain and were transported there with the help of sledges and ropes. They may have already been scattered around the place when builders first decided to go at it, but we'll never know. The smaller bluestones, on the other hand, have been traced all the way to the Preseli Hills in Wales, that is roughly 200 miles away from the site. The question really is, how did the prehistoric builders, without any kind of sophisticated tools or engineering or the wheel, all these boulders, which weighed up to 4 tons, so that's like really heavy, okay? And how did they transport them over such a great distance? Because it's far as According to one long-standing theory, the builders fashioned sledges and rollers out of tree trunks to lug the bluestones from the Preseli Hills. They supposedly transferred the boulders onto rafts and floated them first along the Welsh coast and then up the River Avon towards Salisbury Plain. In alternative, they may have towed each stone with a fleet of vessels. A more recent hypothesis is that they may have transported the bluestones with super-sized wicker baskets or a combination of ball bearings, long grooved planks and teams of oxen. I don't know how they did it, but it's still pretty f***ing amazing, let's face it. Ever since the 1970s, geologists have been adding their voices to the debate over how Stonehenge came into being, and challenging the image of the Neolithic builders like pushing and carting and rolling or hauling the bluestones from Wales. They believe that it is possible that glaciers did most of the heavy lifting for them. Well, now really honest on my part, aliens helped them. What? Because let's face it, no normal person could do that, like 4 tons. 40 tons? No way. Aliens. Another question is who built Stonehenge, because no one is really sure of who built it. So now let's get into some more theories. According to the 12th century writer Geoffrey Monmouth, if you don't know him, is the guy that told the tale of King Arthur, and a lot of people believed that his histories were true until around the Middle Ages. So great. According to him, Stonehenge is the work of the wizard Merlin. The story tells that in the 5th century, hundreds of British nobles were slaughtered by the Saxons and buried on Salisbury Plain. So, hoping to erect a memorial for his fallen subjects, King Aureolus Ambrosius, amazing name I swear, sent an army to Ireland to retrieve the stone circles known as the Giant's Ring, which ancient giants had built from magical African blue stones. The soldiers successfully defeated the Saxons but failed to move the stones, so Merlin used this sorcery and he spirited the stones across the sea and arranged them above the mass grave. Legend also has it that Ambrosius and his brother Arthur, which is King Arthur's father, in case you're wondering, are buried there as well. A lot of people still believe Monmouth's account story to be true. The construction predicts Merlin, or well, the real-life figures that inspired the character by several thousand years, so unless he could transport through time, I don't really know how he did it, but I mean, Monmouth never said Merlin built it, he just transported them over the ocean, so it was already built. It said in the tale, I mean, they're not paying attention to what they're saying because Merlin didn't build it, he transported it.
Pockety, pockety, wockety, whack, odds and ends and bric-a-brac. Be with you in just a minute, son. Packing's almost done.
See what I'm getting? Okay, so back to the serious theories. Early hypotheses attributed the building to the Saxons, the Danes, Romans, Greeks, or even the Egyptians. And in the 17th century, archaeologist John Aubrey made the claim that Stonehenge was the work of the Celtic high priests known as Druids, a theory that was widely popularized by William Stukeley, an antiquarian who had unearthed primitive graves at the site. So, the fact is, even till this day, people who identify as modern Druids still go to the site to celebrate the summer solstice every year. Radiocarbon dating demonstrated that Stonehenge stood more than 1,000 years before the Celts inhabited the region, so that one is ruled out by science. Many modern historians and archaeologists agree that there was several distinct tribes that contributed to the construction of Stonehenge, each one undertaking a different stage of the construction. Bones, tools, and some other artifacts found on the site also support these theories. The first stage was achieved by Neolithic agrarians who were likely indigenous to the British Isles. Later, it is believed that groups with more advanced tools and a more communal way of life left their stamp on the site also. And some have suggested that they were immigrants from the European continent. But many think that they were native Britons descended from the original builders. I know what I just said is kind of contradicting, at least in my opinion, because British Isles are a part of the European continent. I mean, I'm not that good at geography, but I'm pretty sure they were referring to continental Europe and not the whole continent, because that would be stupid, because I would include them. So, yeah. So, if the facts of the construction and architects remain shadowy, at least, the purpose of the monument is even a bigger mystery. While some historians agree that it was a place of great importance for over 1,000 years, we may never figure out what drew Britons to Salisbury Plain and inspire them to continue developing it. There is some strong evidence that it was used as a burial site, at least for some parts of its large history. But most scholars believe that it served other functions as well, such as a ceremonial site, a religious pilgrim destination, a final resting place for royalty, or a memorial erected to honor and perhaps spiritual connect with distant ancestors. In the 1960s, astronomer Gerald Hawkins suggested that the cluster of metallic stones operated as an astronomical calendar, with different points corresponding to astronomical phenomena such as solstices, equinoxes, and eclipses. While the theory has received some attention, the critics maintain that the builders probably lacked the knowledge necessary to predict such events, or that England's cloudy weather would cover and obscure the view of the skies. More recently, signs of illness and injury have been found in the human remains unearthed at Stonehenge, and that led a group of British archaeologists to speculate that it was considered a place of healing, perhaps because the bluestones were thought to have very strong curative powers back then, so that is a possibility too. As of today, Stonehenge is one of the most famous and recognizable sites in the world. It draws more than 800,000 tourists per year. In 1986, it was added to UNESCO's Register of World Heritage Sites and co-listing with Avebury, that is a Neolithic henge 17 miles away from Stonehenge, that is older and larger than Stonehenge, so that's awesome. Also, over the years, Stonehenge has undergone several restorations, and some of its boulders have been set in concrete to prevent collapses, because let's face it, no one wants to take a 4-ton boulder on the face. Meanwhile, archaeological excavations and development of the surrounding area to facilitate the tourism have turned up several other significant sites nearby, including other henges. So if you want to visit, just do it, please. And then tell me how it was, because I'm bored and I can't go anywhere, so yeah. So that's all for today, you guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned some new facts, and well, if you did like it, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!